Hello, my name is Joseph Baca, and I'll be doing a presentation about Susan Stroman. So Susan Stroman is not just a theater director, but she's also a choreographer. Susan was born on October 17th, 1954. 1954 in Willington, Delaware. Her main inspiration was Jerome Robbins, who was a famous Broadway musical choreographer in the 20th century. Susan Stroman has 5 Tony Awards. 4 of them are for choreography and 1 for directing, which was for the Mel Brooks show called The Producers in 2001. She won not only Best Direction of a Musical, but she also won for Best Choreography as well. But overall, she was nominated for 14 Tony Awards throughout her career. She also has 5 Drama Desk Awards, 2 Lawrence Oliver Awards, her London productions, 8 Outer Critics Circle Awards, 4 Fred Astaire Awards, a Lucille Lortel Award for Off-Broadway, and a George Abbott Award for Outstanding Achievement in Theater. So she definitely has a reputation. Susan started dancing when she was 5. Her father played piano, and she would dance to his music and created a dance all over the living room, choreographing his music. She has a quote saying that ever since I was a little girl, I have had this passion, this obsession. When I hear music, I see visions of people dancing. I even dream of people dancing and moving and acting. I visualize music, and if I had not the outlet to become a choreographer, I probably wouldn't have. I probably would have gone crazy. At age 5, she was not only dancing for fun, but she started to dance formally, practicing tap, jazz, and ballet at the Academy of Dance in Willington. In 1974, Susan's professional career started while she was still a student at the University of Delaware, performing Hit the Deck at Goodspell Opera House in Connecticut. In 1976, she graduated with a major in English literature and ventured to the big leagues in New York. She came to New York to ultimately become a choreographer and director, even though she started off as a song and dance gal. But before she came to New York, she was already teaching, directing, and choreographing in community theater in Delaware. Stro was her nickname for Susan while she was in New York. She was in the show Chicago and toured with it. Soon after, in 1979, she had her Broadway debut in Whoopi as Leslie Daw. Once Whoopi concluded, Susan would stop her career as a dancer and began her beautiful passion for directing and choreography. Musical Chairs was a show that she was a part of in 1980 as assistant director, assistant choreographer, and dance captain. This show only lasted about 14 performances and was considered a failed show. Scott Ellis was a performer in Musical Chairs and hired Susan Stroman in 1987 as choreographer for a revival of Candor and Abe's Flora and Red Menace at the Vineyard Theater. This would be the moment that Susan broke out into off-Broadway. She really developed her star presence on Broadway after her production of Crazy for You in 1992 as the show's choreographer. The production ran for 1,622 performances, and 1 year later moved to London to become a hit. Susan won her first Tony Award for this production as choreographer. The shows in general won the Tony Award for Best Musical. Susan collaborated with Hal Prince to create a revival of Showboat, which became a hit in 1994 and ran for 947 performances. Susan won her second Tony Award as choreographer for this production. Andre Bishop, which was a Broadway producer, saw Susan's show called Steel Pier, which she did the choreography for in 1997. And Mr. Bishop told her that if she had an idea, that he would develop it. Susan speaks of this moment as being music to your ears, as it was very uncommon for any producer to do that. So she started developing a story that would be accessible to New Yorkers, grasping the fight between New Yorkers living on top of each other and never really making any contact and greeting one another. She was inspired one day while she was at a local bar, seeing all the gentlemen in there, and then comes this beautiful woman in a yellow dress. She tells herself that this person is going to make an impact on someone's life tonight. So came the idea for a cute short story of a woman in a yellow dress, which became one of three short stories in the creative production named Contact, reminding the audience how important it is to connect with others. In 2000, Susan's production Contact made way for her third Tony Award for choreography. For Susan, though, when it comes to dance and choreography, making up the steps is the last thing she does. She has a wide knowledge of dance and terminology. So the first thing in her process is to understand the story. She has to have the beginning, middle, and end in her rhythm. She works with the set design and director before she develops a dance so that everything is fluid and the transitions of the scenes work well together. Susan married in 1996 to a man named Mike Orkrent, and he was a well-known stage director and worked with Susan on Crazy for You and other productions. And he was originally chosen to direct a show named The Producers. Sadly, Mike died after being married to Susan for 3 years to leukemia. His obligation and responsibilities was then passed down to her for Mel Brooks's smash musical hit comedy. She was the first woman to ever win two Tony Awards for Best Choreography and Best Director in the same show. The Producers was a Broadway premiere was at the St. James Theater, opened on April 19th, 2001. It had 2,502 shows, and the original cast consisted of Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick. The Producers became such a musical hit that it was then adapted to film in 2005, with Susan leading the way as director. This film was then nominated for 4 Golden Globes. Working on the stage production of the Producers compared to the movie production of the Producers was very similar for Susan when it comes to post-productions. But the pressure of when the camera came in and getting that perfect shot was a lot different for Susan. In a theater, you see everything in a wide shot, and now you have the close-up, medium shot, and movement of the camera. To Susan, the camera acted like another dancer. If the actor moved from 8 counts to left and right, the camera had to do the same thing. And because of the extraordinary talent of all the comedians within the movie, that her favorite part of the production was the editing process, since there were so many wonderful choices to choose from. Susan's favorite song in The Producers is That Bass. Variety had an article on April 19th, 2001 by Charles Isherwood, and he talks about the Broadway version of The Producers. And it says in the article, the brilliant choreography of Stroman, who creates a series of giddy, increasingly inspired stage production pictures accumulating, of course, in the extravaganza of Springtime for Hitler. Stroman's customary inventive use of props pays off spectacularly through the evening. The Producers is not a work of art, but it's a highly accomplished piece of low-down entertainment. And how delicious that a show about the attempted detonation of the Broadway bomb should become the first Broadway smash of the new century. The New York Times wrote an article on April 20th, 2001 by Ben Brantley, and it says in the article, with the inspired assistance of Susan Stroman, Mel Brooks, director and choreographer, and the happiest cast in town, Mr. Brooks has put on a show that is a Valentine to every show there is, good and bad, about putting on a show. And the expert production team turns the stage into a bright, endless dreamscape obscures, celebrates the looks of great musical from gypsy to folly. It wouldn't be the end of the collaboration for Mel Brooks and Susan Stroman, because in 2007, they both worked together to create a musical version of Young Frankenstein, which Susan directed and also choreographed. Susan's latest work would be in 2019, Mary Dancing Still. She was the director and choreographer for the show. This production was shown at Seattle's Fifth Avenue Theater. Susan Stroman inspires me personally as a directing student to not just have one focus within my life of theater. Directing is something I'm fairly new at, and I have found a new passion for. Although acting and singing were my first talents on the stage, like Susan, using her dancing skills and history as a choreographer to her advantage when it comes to directing, I too can use my acting and singing abilities towards creating creative directing as well. A lesson that Susan has shown me throughout all my research is that I need to ground myself and keep moving forward with my passion and skills. She didn't get a degree in theater or acting or directing, it was English. And now she is an award winning star in the theater world. Historically, theater has been a healer for depression and grief in her life, and she believes that it's a healer for everyone. When Susan's husband died from leukemia, it was very hard for her, and that she loves going to work because that healing element she finds while working for the theater. The theater has made her strong and has kept her buoyant, and it fills her up with joy to know that she has touched an audience in some way, whether it be laughter or tears. Susan Stroman loves to sit in the back of an audience to hear them react to her shows. Thank you. And here's my works cited page. All right.